Hello.
Hi, Jonathan. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good.
We're ready to assign more criticality?
I think so. Birds be tweeting behind you, David. Where are you actually?
I am in Northern Virginia, and this is my deck.
I'm jealous. My deck is currently hanging over a road, and it's also 40 degrees out.
Well, I can't say it's like this all year round, but springs in Northern Virginia are really awesome. So try to take advantage of it when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'm going to leave you here with my birds because I'm going to go get me a soda and ready myself for this.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon.
Ah, humbug, David Wheeler and his birds chirping.
Oh, my volume was off. Did you say something?
I said, bah, humbug, David Wheeler and his birds chirping.
And her little dog Toto too.
I know, right?
All right. Did my birds keep everybody company?
Yeah, they did. I was saying, bah, humbug, David Wheeler and his birds. You left the mic open just to make us jealous, didn't you?
Absolutely. My wife has an app. I've forgotten what its real name is, but she calls it Shazam for birds. So she'll just put her phone up and it'll tell us, which bird is which, and that's a cardinal, that's a robin, that's all that sort of stuff, and specific one species and so on. I mean, if anybody's nearby, you can come on over, visit my deck. I have power and a Wi-Fi. All right. I probably ought to actually sign in and things. Oh, thank you for signing in for me. All right.
All right, well, I want to get through as much as we can. Maybe we should get started. People can trickle in. Do we have any volunteers to do the screen share? Otherwise, I'll do it.
Yeah, I've got a tiny screen. I don't think you wanted me to share mine.
All right. Can you see my screen?
I can. Now, were we going to be talking about this PTAL to consider soon?
Yeah, so not really. I just want to tell everybody as an announcement to go look here so that whenever we're, hopefully by the next meeting, we can have a discussion on this.
Okay. Yeah, I think if I recall, the issue there was it wasn't. I think there were people asking how did this list get created, and Jonathan, I I don't know if that's already been answered, and if not, maybe link off. If there's if there is a rationale, maybe link to it, and if not, maybe write it and link to it.
It's in the document. There is for every single line, there is an explanation of where that line is coming from. I think.
Okay, in the spreadsheet.
In the spreadsheet, if you open the spreadsheet, I think there is wait, where is the spreadsheet? This is not the spreadsheet. This is a different. Let's go back to this.
Yeah, okay, yeah, like Debian popularity or
popular.
Yeah.
Yes. So the source, like Harvard Census 2, is so why is this in this list, right? Like that's
right. Yeah, but that's just okay. Like the 250 most common GitHub URLs in the CVE database, got that, but like criticality score. I mean, lots of things are on criticality score. There must have been a cutoff or something, and lots of things are mentioned in the census, Harvard Census too. I think just that, 2 or 3 words isn't really enough. If there could be like a key, if you say this in the source, what's that mean?
Hang on.
I'm not looking for a 300-page paper, but
No. I know.
Yeah, but like if it says Harvard Census 2, this means what? It's in. I mean, I doubt you included everything in Harvard Census 2. So
I didn't create this list. This is Michael Scavetta, so I'm trying to get Michael Scavetta to come join the call right now.
Okay. Well, we don't have to answer this today. I think that was the question is people saw the list and it wasn't clear what the sources meant.
Can you? Is that is there a question that is posed that has been posed to Michael Scavetta either in the issue or in the email thread?
Let's see here. You know what? I think it probably belongs in issue 66.
Okay.
So how's this? Why don't I respond to that, and I'll put Michael Scavetta as an @ and hopefully, and that'll at least notify him that somebody mentioned his name and whined about it.
Yes.
Okay.
At a high level, does this working group want to move forward with adopting and owning this list, or is that I guess am I completely are we coming out of left field with this list?
No.
And
No, you're not coming out of left field. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so is this yes.
Yeah, so let's I haven't put my comments in there. I was going to wait me and Amir until other people commented before, as the chairs. I don't want to set the tone before anybody else comments. But yeah, I want to discuss this in a future meeting. I want to try to push people to leave comments here so we can do some asynchronous consensus. That's why I wanted to keep mentioning it in this meeting so that people can go and look.
What is the process by which? Hang on, Hi, Michael. Question for David. Ask the question.
Yeah. In fact, you know what? I just posted it in the issue, so I'm going to open up chat click, and
Wow, nice.
well, you're shocked at my ability to use chat.
No comment.
Oh, that's probably good for me.
Yeah, that is a reasonable request. Where do I actually find the data? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It is the top N, but I should say it's the top N.
Right. I'm not looking for the for the 300-page paper. You could probably just stick it in another tab, but just basically for each of those values, sentence.
Where did I find it?
Yeah, exactly. What does that mean? And I think that would clarify things. And in some cases, maybe some comments about what it doesn't, but at least, where'd you get that? So for example, criticality score, I know that really emphasizes activity. So in that case, I already know, the risk of that particular measure is, hey, if you're not active, that doesn't mean you're not important, but it won't show up high on the criticality score.
Yeah. But that is also precisely why we have, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 different sources where
exactly
you'll get caught in one of the other ones. I'm also just to be clear, I am super happy for this not to be the Alpha Omega 10,000 list, but this to be the Security and Critical Projects 10,000 list, in which case, like, evolve it at the whims of this working group, and we will just take it and say, yep, that's what I'd rather point to something that's upkept rather than try to upkeep it.
Right. In that case, I think what we need to do is we even need it more about what exactly this is.
Yeah.
Because that way, instead of you trying to figure it out, other people know how to figure it out. Oh, and I see David Edelson. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to talk.
No problem. I mean, one thing is just to point out, and it's not a criticism. I mean, there are a number of duplications in that list. I mean, which is fine. But I think the bigger issue, I mean, again, we can continue, this isn't, solve it today, but I think there's still a question of, like, what's the meaning of life? And, like, what's the meaning of this group, in the sense of there's still no real clarity about, okay, we have our securing critical projects, or create this list of critical projects. As part of this is, where did it come from and where is it going? And part of this 10,000 list is, like, we just have this, it's not been very clear for how people can propose projects and how we, or where our cutoff was and how we created this. And it's not really clear. And I think this is sort of good with the 10,000 projects from Alpha Omega, is that there is sort of a recipient for this. Like, okay, we create these critical projects. What exactly is the pipeline or the flow in the OpenSSF after we do this? It sort of doesn't make, I mean, I don't think it's interesting, it's nice, but I'm hoping that it's not just a matter of, oh, we created this list and then we'll, file it in, a warehouse in New Jersey type of thing. Like,
fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I also think that having the list, other folks are going to have the question of, like, I have a thing I can do at scale, but not at the scale of the universe. What's the most important stuff that I should be thinking about? And just having a list available, which is like, yes, it's not perfect, but it's a list, and it's probably approximately correct. And I think, if you build it, they will come, perhaps. AO will absolutely be a consumer of this, but as far as others, I could also see any of the Stream 7 stuff, or Stream 6, the security audits, kind of say, like, start top of the list.
Exactly. I'm not saying, again, stop what we're doing, we did a great today. I mean, but it's simply a matter of, okay, I mean, this is a great list. Thanks for me. It's very comprehensive. He said he made all of these ways that we produce it. There's some duplication, but long run, again, not to belabor this, but for us to discuss after we get through our current scoring mechanism, is to figure out how we want to integrate this together. Is this sort of a new starting point, or just sort of have once we get through this, and our current sort of race or whatever we want to call this, is to then sort of step back and say, what really is the purpose of this group and this list, and how do we want to balance between this 10,000 and the list that we've inherited, or the group has been working on so far, and then potentially in contact with the TAC at the next time, saying, okay, we've got these different resolutions or types of information. Let's start sort of socializing this amongst the OpenSSF. What's the best way? Are these sort of different purposes? Are we trying to merge the purposes together? Again, not trying to answer it now, but just sort of open questions for people to think about as we evolve this specific working group.
Yeah, that's a great point, David. Let's add some of that stuff to future topic ideas. Can you add one or two there?
Okay, sure.
In the doc, I'd like to hit some of that stuff after we're done.
Certainly.
Okay, so I think we're ready to start the meeting. So yeah, attendees, do we have any, welcome everybody. Yeah, go ahead and look at the notes linked in the meeting invite. Do we have any new faces that are new or, rejoining after a long absence would like to introduce themselves? Okay. Yeah, well, thanks everybody for joining. So yeah, I wanted to call out, and what we were discussing right now is there's a proposal for a new project or SIG, not sure which one it would be, to join this working group. So please take a look at the issue or the mailing list post and leave your comments or questions there. We want to have a formal discussion in the meeting once we finish our current iteration of the critical projects set.
I'm confused. Are we talking about this 10,000 list or something
Yes.
different? Okay, all right.
Yeah, this.
Is that a SIG? I don't think it's a SIG. That's just a adopt a list.
Yeah, I don't think it's a separate SIG either. I think
Its projects are supposed to be code, so.
Oh, okay. All right. You said SIG.
Well, it's either a SIG or a project, probably.
Oh, okay.
No, I wouldn't. So SIGs are special interest groups, right? And it's not we're not creating a separate SIG with separate meetings. This is an item that would be owned and a deliverable from this working group. That's not a SIG or a project. Maybe it is a project. I mean, maybe it's a code. Maybe it's
just a larger version of the list of the
Which
voting.
I consider like a project.
Yeah,
with a sub-project.
Yeah, there's a terminology weirdness here. We call stuff that aren't mostly code SIGs, but at least in the OpenSSF, we have other SIGs that don't have separate meetings either. Yeah. So I first thought you meant a SIG with a separate meeting, but you don't have that. So okay.
No, yeah, something that's on the list of our things that we can own and produce. Anyways, so yeah, look at that. But let's get busy with our working meeting and start looking at our list, voting, discussion, consensus building on the set. So we had a small meeting last time. The APAC time isn't as popular. So there were some that we passed on, but we left comments, and then some that we didn't get to. So let's go ahead and I guess just go down the list. All right, up for discussion is Kong. With a high Docker pull count. Anybody know this?
Okay, so we're on Kong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't see this on this list. KONG?
Yeah, we're on line 26 on the candidates tab.
Okay, sorry, I was on the wrong tab. 126?
No, just 26.
26. Okay. Huh. I am not familiar with this.
Their marketing is good. Their logo is flashy.
All right, I think if it's just Dr. Pull Count and nobody knows it, and it wasn't a particular suggestion with considerations, we should just go ahead and vote no, since we don't have any reason to say yes.
Is it on the list of 10,000 projects?
That's a good question.
I mean, it's used by, go to their website, it's used by GSK, Wayfair, NASDAQ, Verifone, Moderna, App Dynamics, which is part of Cisco.
No, it's used by Moderna. We'll definitely know.
It is on
No,
the
it's
10,000.
used by, not,
Yeah, it's on the 10,000 list 4 times. Interestingly enough, which is a little unusual.
Yeah, for criticality score.
Yep.
I know the other ones are other projects within the Kong GitHub repo, Insomnia, another one.
it must be critical. It's used by Papa John's.
Okay, we got Papa John's on the positive side and Moderna on the negative side. Okay.
I realize you're being silly, but in all honesty, making it very clear that there are non-trivial companies who are using it is clearly a plus.
Mhm.
I'm not familiar with it, but that Docker count's high. The criticality score is high. These are not irrational reasons to select something. Used by people who care.
PayPal, Samsung, Honeywell, NASDAQ.
Yeah.
Cisco.
Yeah, I'm only using metrics and the quick list of what they're claiming on their site, but these are actually pretty. I would find this reasonable.
I guess the question is like it's important, but is it top 100?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm trying to look to see what I don't know how high. Okay, so if I look at like Alpine, it's 8 million in the past week. Nginx is 32 million in the past week. I'm trying to like sort the whole thing by like is 200 million total, like is that like everybody gets 200 million just because of how you pull it.
Well, I mean, whoops, sorry. Can everybody hear me? I can't remember if I turned off my mic.
Yeah,
All right, I didn't okay. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Elastic's Kibana, they've only got approximately half the poll count. Now they're not open source, so that's not open source, so that's not within our scope. But I do know that's widely used. So just from the poll count, I believe that is unusually high. So I think this is definitely I would put on the kind of that margin of, it's how's this? No matter what, it's important. The question is it important enough to put it on this list? I think that's the question here. And I can see an argument either way.
Yeah.
A stupid question. It is open source, right? That's I hate to do a lot of more analysis.
Yes, it's Apache.
Apache. Okay, well that makes things easy. Sure's got a lot of commits. Oh my gosh. Somebody looked at any of these commits?
I propose that we say that this is critical with a rationalization or a question of the that it with some sort of a clarification, or I don't know what we want to say, but I mean it definitely, it seems to be sort of I don't know, a niche, but it's a very specific market. I mean, it's not widely used, but it seems to be critical for the people for who are using it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it basically puts itself as a central gateway for all sorts of other things. So
Right.
if this thing goes down, anybody who's depending on it, they're not just losing a part of a service; they're losing the whole service.
Thanks to
Because if you look at their little design description, you know, basically it's the thing that then calls all the other APIs, and it basically is an orchestrator of API functionality as opposed to containers.
right. Which
Yeah, I
think
mean, API gateways are usually for auth in, auth c, so for the whole all the APIs.
Isn't Nginx placing itself in somewhat the similar roles, routing, load balance? I mean, so
Yeah, but
no, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying that I'm just trying to
And
clarify.
this thing might be using Nginx as the proxy in front of each API. You know what I mean? But you
Yeah.
need
Yeah,
like a
yeah, that's
control
what I'm
layer on
saying.
top.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, I mean, Nginx is definitely critical. So
right.
So doesn't I should know the answer to this. I'm sorry. Doesn't Kubernetes include like an API gateway? Like, isn't that like
No, not
Okay.
not this kind. I mean, obviously there is an API to access Kubernetes services, but Kubernetes is an orchestrator of containers. This is an orchestrator of incoming requests, which is different.
got it? Okay, so you wouldn't. So if you're going to run like
You might use both. In fact, you're likely
right, you might use both, but like there isn't like a more native solution that Kong kind of duplicates that.
I
I mean, who like what's the alter is like Istio like like what are
Yeah.
you know just give you
Yeah, so
alternatives
like
to
like API gateways typically just on the external layer, where something like Istio would be. This API gateways and service meshes are very similar, but service mesh is more for all your services versus the kind of a layer where external requests come into your system.
got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just either have to say like, yeah, like all the stats put it really high. It's not just one stat. So let's just say yes, or, you know, it seems like it's a critical piece. It's in the main, you know, request flow. It handles stuff like authentication, authorization. Or we can just say no, because we don't have any, you know, anecdotal experience.
I mean, maybe that's
That's a great reason. It's not critical because we don't know, you know, it's like
Yeah,
limited group of
exactly.
how many people? 8 people in a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very satisfied with that. I think, you know, I do know about a whole lot of projects. I'm sadly not omniscient. I'll tell you if I don't know about something, but I think that we would have to pull a lot of people to truly represent all the different uses of open source. So
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you there, but like when we say no here, we're not saying it's no forever, right? If next round somebody comes in and says, yeah, this is important, then we would believe them.
yeah,
We do accept kind of recommendations, right, from the community.
Yeah.
yeah.
So if somebody from Kong is like, this
is
is totally critical, it should be on your list, and here's why. You read it and you're like, yeah,
Absolutely.
So sure.
Yeah, and wasn't this one of those? In fact, I don't remember where this
This
came
was
from.
not recommended. This is simply from the Docker pull count. We pulled out a list and we threw it on here.
I see. Okay. I mean, that Docker pull count's pretty impressive.
I would
All the stats.
I would
are.
agree. I also it seems like it's being used by a lot of organizations. I don't like the like we don't know it because so it's not critical, right? Like I also don't love it's not on the list because there's nobody right now. So I don't know what the cadence plan is for getting this list updated on a regular basis, but I can imagine that similar to the OWASP top 10 critical lists, it takes a couple of years for them to get those out every, you know, like the
Yeah, it takes 3 years. Yeah. 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 I would say even though I'm not personally familiar with this, the data that we have that we're presenting suggests to me that this should be a yes, simply because of the massive poll count, the massively high criticality score, and the clear centrality of its use by its users, and there are many of them.
Agreed.
Yes.
All right, so why don't I write?
I'm good with
Since
that.
I just said that, I will try to write that down in our sheet. Since that,
I mean, we spent like 10 minutes on this, and I don't think we're sort of getting anywhere. I mean, other than, you know, we're not getting any more clarity, shall I say?
right?
So I'd say that, you know, we say yes, and we say that we're, you know, have qualms, or we're, you know, we don't, you know, are uncertain about the about this, but that based on exactly what David said, it seems to be a critical piece of open source software. And
All right, sounds good.
declare victory and move on.
Libre SSL.
I need to drop for another meeting. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody.
Michael.
Okay.
We
Alrighty, and I just dropped the summary of the analysis discussion on column. Okay, so Libre SSL. Oh, now which one is this?
exactly.
Yeah, okay, I have to be careful here. This
This
is
the open-
boring
this
SSL.
No,
this is
isn't the
Libre
Google-
SSL.
This is the open BSD fork.
All right, I have to be careful here because all right, in fact, let me add to the justification. This is the OpenBSD fork,
Yeah,
not the Google fork.
correct.
Boring SSL.
Correct.
All right. I mean, I knew that, but I wanted to make sure because there's a whole lot of forks there.
Yeah, this so yeah, this isn't the Google go away, you know, don't use this. This is the, you know, Theo the Rat wants to stick his finger in this too.
Right. And the thing is, you know, so the question really here, I would say, comes down to usage. You know, do they have, when they just released something a few days ago, so there's at least some activity here.
But a Che Guevara fish, or what is a puffer fish? The logo.
You know what? I have given up suggesting that people follow whatever. All right. I mean, whether or not, I mean, clearly it's been, they have enough activity to make a release. So I would say that that's a good thing. Okay. So it's not, so it's active development. So active development, it was released then. Okay. I guess the real question here is how many folks are depending on this? And I don't have good data on that. Does anyone have data on that?
So it says here that it's just the fork, that's the OpenBSD fork. They also just publish the code from OpenBSD so that it could be compiled and used in other operating systems. No evidence that that happens. But at least we know
it's not in the
this is the-
10,000 projects list.
Yeah, at least we know this is the SSL that's used in OpenBSD.
Yes. I mean, and that was one of the broader questions is, you know, how much is our critical projects list Linux focused, because I mean there are these. I mean there's the whole Alpine ecosystem, there's the OpenBSD ecosystem, there's the FreeBSD, and it's sort of so.
Yeah, let's see here. There's an older review here. Let me by Waters. Hold up. Let me stick this in. I mean, basically right now I'm under the model of we look at the statistics and other data that we can get to quickly make reasonable determinations. Why can't I just, yeah. All right, there's a URL that I don't know, has one person's opinion. Huh. Well, Sam Waters up mentions me. That must be good.
Do we have any evidence that OpenBSD is widely used for production deployments?
OpenBSD is certainly nowhere near as widely deployed as Linux is, but certainly OpenBSD itself does have a non-trivial number of deployments.
Yeah.
I think FreeBSD is actually bigger. I'm trying to remember. I was running
definitely.
a BSD enabling group for a little
Yeah.
while back.
No, it's definitely bigger. But I think the issue is more that if we're talking about critical projects, or again, the criticality, that OpenBSD targets itself as being a high security solution, so it often is used for the people who care about BSD, or in more security critical deployments and situations. So even though it's a low number, the multiplication factor for the places it is deployed is rather high.
Yeah, and the thing is, just because it's from the BSD folks does not mean it's limited to that use. I mean, OpenSSH is also from exactly the same group.
Yeah.
And that's all over. So,
Right,
so frankly, I would look the other direction. Who is deploying LibreSSL, but not, but not in OpenBSD? Because
and I don't see a lot of exactly. I don't see LibreSSL having the uptake equivalent to OpenSSH. The broad uptake outside the BSD.
Yeah.
But also there have been some issues with OpenBSD security where they've had to make changes to software, specifically with whatever they call it, whatever Theo's latest announcement at CanSec West. So this may also be a place. I mean, because libSSL is known for its maintenance complexity, shall we say? This may have been a place to maintain their additional memory layout changes necessary for the library that were too slow for adoption in libSSL.
So in fact, I just found I found another article which I remember reading earlier now, basically saying that OpenSSH obviously is pickup all over, but basically the LibreSSL just has not had the pickup. It is being used in OpenBSD, but not widely elsewhere.
Yeah, just as a side information, looking at Red Hat packages for a while, it seems none of them consumes LibreSSL as well. So I can imagine there is not a lot of Linux related projects that use that.
Yeah, so I would say no, and unless somebody has other better data, it just I think what happened is OpenSSL. A lot of people got very, very worried about it after Heartbleed, but They cleaned up their act a lot. There's still some issues in OpenSSL, but a lot of folks have just decided not to pick up these at least that alternative.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Any concerns? Okay, libwebsockets.
Okay, this was a user suggestion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it has some technical advantages. The question here is, what kind of widespread use are we talking about?
This is another one from the embedded
Yeah.
world that's recommended.
Ah,
This is IoT.
okay. Yeah, it's not really limited to IoT, but I see it's specifically designed to be small for IoT.
Right. Well, I didn't mean it's limited there. I just meant that this is sort of in terms of judging the criticality.
Got it.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's see here. Got it. Frequently used in embedded products. All right, that's really the question, is how widespread is this use in embedded products?
I have a feeling OpenStack uses LibWebSockets as well, besides embedded products.
Okay. Interestingly enough, now you have to be careful. This is them using themselves as a source, but they are claiming tens of millions of devices and thousands of developers. Although tens of millions of devices actually isn't that many, but I mean, that is a non-trivial number. What did they say?
Yeah,
Tens of
that graph is interesting. All contributions versus Andy.
I'm sorry?
That graph just above, yeah, there. I mean, all contributors 404, Andy at wormcat.com, and you can see that how much this is a single person project.
You know, and that's fine. Frankly, that single person projects increase my risk meter, frankly.
Yeah.
I know they're common. In fact, all the numbers I have is the majority, but okay. I wish I had more data. I don't know either way. I'm a little, and tens of millions of devices does say something. You know, I could ask the Yocto and Zephyr folks if this is widely used. They run, you know, they're doing a lot of the supporting stuff, and they might have a sense of that.
I was trying to remember from the Octo project. It seems like it sort of rings a bell, but you know, probably Richard Purdy would have a better, you know, idea of whether that's, you know, because they cook various packages into different recipe profiles. So
Right.
anyway, I can ping Richard if you will.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind pinging Richard, and I was thinking about asking Kate Stewart for Zephyr. Do you know Kate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also know the engineering manager for that one. Haven't talked to her lately, but I could check with her.
Okay. Yeah. Let's ask Zephyr and Yocto.
It's also on the 10,000 projects list because of criticality score.
You know what? Why don't we come back to this one? We have a plan for getting more data about it. The higher criticality score does suggest it, but criticality score says busyness.
Yep.
But Zephyr and Yocto folks might have a better sense of widespread use.
I mean, we do have the suggestion already via the GitHub issue that it's widely used. I would be okay with saying yes now if we want to. But if we want to wait, that's fine too.
Chances are I might hear pretty quick, but anyway.
Yeah, why don't we wait? I mean,
Sure.
this is one where we have a plan for getting more data as opposed to let's kick it.
Yeah.
And if the only plan is no plan, I'm not impressed, but we actually have a plan. So
Okay, Lightning Network daemon. This was a survey response. I don't know if we have the actual text from the survey.
blockchain transactions. I'm not so sure how critical blockchain is, but okay. Okay, where are we going here? Bitcoin slash blockchain. Is it? I presume it's not just Bitcoin then. Keep millions of billions of transactions per second? Oh, okay. It's transacting, settling off blockchain. This seems to kind of miss the point. If you can have a centralized service, why use a blockchain? Well, I mean, there are other ways. In fact, we've got a whole foundation on that. But
It's a payment protocol on top of Bitcoin. I think this may be, at least the implementation may be Bitcoin specific to that network.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's a layer 2 protocol on Bitcoin. It's not on Ethereum or other networks. I mean, doesn't make it good or bad, but it's not a general blockchain solution.
I mean, I will gladly note, yes, Bitcoin, the primary implementation, people run billions of dollars on it. Same for Ethereum. This is not either of those things. We're now down to a much lower use compared to, say, the main Bitcoin or Ethereum. I would say we shouldn't accept this unless we first accept the main Bitcoin and Ethereum implementations, which we have not.
I agree.
Yep, agreed.
Right, embed TLS.
Yeah, this is back to that same embedded. I mean, it's an embedded TLS. So, I mean, I think this sort of is back to the question about, libweb sockets and other. I mean, I think we asked the same group. Is this?
Yeah.
I mean, Yocto and others. Is this?
Well, how's this? I think no matter what, we need to accept the Bitcoin and Ethereum components first. This is much less commonly used.
Yeah.
We're off of LND. This is a new.
David's typing it in.
Embed TLS has nothing to do with Bitcoin directly.
Right. But and this is, yeah. But I think just it's commonly used. We don't, I mean, we're not saying it's not important to somebody. It's just we're trying to identify what's most common across a very, very wide spectrum, and this doesn't seem to make it. At least that would be my opinion. Yeah, we probably just need to constantly repeat on this recorded line, hey, we're not telling you your baby's ugly. Every software is important to somebody, or you wouldn't write it. It's that how broad is it used that we're trying to measure in some sense. Oh, have we moved on to embed TLS?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
thanks for recording, Dave. This is part of Lenaro, it looks like, or anyways, looks like it's part of this larger project. Trusted firmware.
It's a preview version for evaluation only. Although, is this the usual text you say, even though there's millions of, or billions of users? Huh.
Yeah, it seems very ARM Linaro specific. I mean, not that it has to be, but that it's.
Is it? Yeah, Mir is saying it's widely used, so that's the.
Okay.
I don't know either way.
Well, it's those aren't contradictory.
Oh, yeah, well, fair enough. Is it really ARM specific? I don't see anything that says that.
Yeah, but it's a Lenaro project, so probably.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure that's disqualifying. I mean,
No
but
one's saying
Not
it
at
is.
all.
yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, I'd lean towards yes. We have multiple people saying this is widely used.
Okay. Yeah, its low level nature looks like if things go bad with it, if things go very, very bad if you're a user of this thing.
Yeah. Any concerns?
Yeah, here's a weirdness. It doesn't implement all the algorithms. It's a reference implementation. Weird. So it's kind of you get most of the parts, but then you have to self-assemble. I guess that's more common in the embedded world anyway. Okay, I'm good with it saying yes. It's different, but that doesn't make it bad. This just makes it different.
So Metasploit framework, David, Amir, and I discussed this in the last meeting, leaning no. Anybody have any concerns with just saying no here? Reasoning is here and here.
I agree with no.
I agree with no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's widely used, but if it breaks, nothing in production breaks.
Okay, Nats. Another one we discussed. It looks like an important, message passing for, cloud native greenfield applications, but the current usage doesn't show that it's as ubiquitous as a lot of the other things that we're saying yes to. It is a CNCF project.
I'm sorry, which one are we talking about again?
Nats.
Number 38.
Nats. Okay.
Maybe it's an up and comer. We'll be there next time.
I'm okay with saying no for now.
I guess the question is how widely is it used, right? I mean,
it's a high Docker pull count, but not one of the highest. And yeah, Docker pull count, it does skew towards, container. I think this is used in like greenfield Kubernetes cloud native space.
Okay.
But that's not solely like going to make it critical, I think.
Right.
Clear that out. Okay, next cloud. It's popular. I think an argument I had against this one is it's more like for individual user, home user type usage, not running critical systems. Anybody have any?
I'm actually typing on the previous one to try to capture what we just said. So I was saying for the previous one, not clear for us, why use, we'll need to reevaluate if its usage significantly increases. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. Now, which one we on?
Nextcloud.
Nextcloud. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, this one I'm actually, I put on popular and on the fence. The thing is, this, if you wanted to have something you controlled yourself, this is a pretty common thing to pull out. It's your own little server.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, but I think the question is like, is it powering critical systems in the world? And I would lean towards no there.
yeah, I don't know how many organizations use this. Because if an organization uses it, for example, for all of their data and editing and everything else, it suddenly does become pretty critical.
Yeah.
So as I said, I'm on the fence on this one. Certainly the Docker count's high enough.
Oh yeah.
Well, there is Nextcloud Enterprise.
There is indeed.
Yeah, but is that open source?
Probably not.
Well, I mean, the Nextcloud itself is all variants of GPL, but yeah, I don't know whether the enterprise version specifically. But the base is GPL.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how often these things get used, but I mean, they, at least for their enterprise version, they're talking about HIPAA and so on. So I wish I had more data either way. As I said, I think you could make a decent case either way. I just don't have the usage data. Let's see here. Maybe I can find that.
I think we see it's highly used. I think the question is who's using it.
Yes.
But all those Docker pull count, I mean, at that high, I mean, maybe I'm making the wrong inference, but I wouldn't expect that personal usage would be Docker specific and have that. I mean, it seems rather.
Oh, everybody's like home NAS is like Docker based.
Okay.
Yeah, you just like load in a compose file and it just sets up your Nextcloud or something for you. Say GPL.
Yeah, here's a market share analysis. I mean, relatively now, to be fair, I think the company size are based on their enterprise product, which is based on, but not, I don't think is exactly the same as.
Right. Yeah. Like they have all these case studies here on their website for the enterprise product as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would lean towards no and just say like enterprise may be used by critical systems, but it's also not clear it's how much the open core part of it is, part of the enterprise offering,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, okay, popular, but unclear how much of the OSS version is widely depended on.
Right.
As opposed to its enterprise version.
Thank you.
Capture the It's always hard to capture the sense of a group. So tell me if I got it wrong, please.
That's good.
I think we need to try to capture that, even though it's imperfect.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at any of the those case studies or white papers, you need to give them an email. I mean, it's very corporate.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, and corporate's not wrong. It's just
right.
it's a relatively small percentage of the overall market it's in. That's not necessarily a killer if where it's used is really, really critical, but just
Well, but they
it's
also
clearly,
have,
it's
they
clear,
also, I mean, they also have a corporate sponsor to
right.
deal with any criticality issues. It's not like this.
Right now we have not used that as a criterion one way or the other.
Yeah.
But yes, that would be the next step is which ones need investment and probably not.
Okay, open EBS.
Yeah. Is this one easy, or do we need if we have 1 minute left?
I
guess we don't have the easy ones.
I doubt this is going to be easy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a storage solution for Kubernetes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, I guess till next time.
Okay. Well, we made some progress.
Yeah.
It's hard, slogging through.
Thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, see you next time. Next time will be APAC friendly time again.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, see you.